Welcome back to another edition of Coffee Time with TD. Move over, Rover, and let TD take over. Be good or be good at it. God is great always in always. Get your poopa scoopa because TD is talking shit. But we have to end this Thursday, this glorious Thursday. God is great on a serious note. And I want to make sure I get this correct because if I get even the slightest word wrong, there's a few of you out there who are on my ass like white on rice, even if I get the one word wrong. So I want to make sure I get this right. Federal prosecutors are preparing to ask a grand jury to indict former FBI Director James Comey on perjury charges. America, and as I've been telling you time and time again, is the new Russia. The new Russia. And if the prosecutors are successful in convincing the grand jury to indict James Comey, who will be next? Well, every single person who President Donald Trump thinks crossed him. And that's the truth. Full stop, end of. America is the new Russia. If President Donald Trump, he owns the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court. He owns everyone. And I told you way back when he's not leaving office. And I told you way back when people like James Comey better get the hell out of America. Because Trump is going to be on your ass like stink on shit. And here we are. Being a wee bit omnipotent is a gift and a curse. But James Comey, don't tell me I never told you so. And I told you that back as soon as Trump won the election. So I hope you heeded my advice and got the hell out of America. Because if federal prosecutors are successful and James Comey is indicted, who's next? Whoever President Donald Trump thinks crossed him or screwed him over or did something wrong to him. And let me say this, you know who has elections? Russia. Russia has elections too. Except the only person who ever wins is Putin. Well, that's going to be the same thing in 2028. Yes, there will be an election. But Trump's not leaving office. House, Senate, Supreme Court, and every single person, 70, 80, 90 million people who think that Jesus sent him and who would die for him. America birthed its first monarch, its first tyrant, its first dictator. And this is one of the scariest things to happen to date since President Donald Trump came back into office. And I know he's urging Pam Bondi and prosecutors to go after anyone who speaks ill of him or is against him or is not on his side. We know that. But it is a very, very, very scary, dark time in America. And this thing, in my opinion, this thing with James Comey possibly getting indicted on perjury charges isn't getting covered enough. Because if this happens, who's next? President Donald Trump will know that he can tell the DOJ to go after his enemies or people who he views as his enemies, prosecute them, get them indicted, and put them in prison. Just like Putin, who I told you last year is who President Donald Trump aspires to be. That is his idol. That is his superhero. That's all he wants to be is Putin. And I will tell you this on the record, I do not believe one fucking word of this about President Donald Trump supporting Ukraine now and saying they can win the war and take back territory, all that stuff. I think it's a lover's quarrel between Putin and Trump, just like Trump and Elon had one, and now they're best friends again. So there's a lover's quarrel, jilted lovers, and they'll make up in a couple of weeks. But this is really something you need to keep your eye on if James Comey is indeed indicted, because he knows that if he isn't indicted, he will be found guilty. And pretty much, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he will spend essentially the rest of his natural life in prison. When America shows you and tells you who they are, believe them.